This all began when we at DCI realized that we needed to have some test material to check out digital cinema systems, both projectors, compression systems, that stuff.
I was the lucky one who was available, and I wound up working with Curtis Clark and Howard Luck about how we should put all of these elements together into demonstration films.
It seemed pretty obvious to us that the confetti should be the opening shot. It's very, very hard for compression to deal with, especially compression that deals with motion, along with a title sequence that would look pretty close to what the confetti looked like.
We decided on just a technical basis that we would shoot only 5218, the Kodak Vision 2 motion picture stock, which is, depending upon your point of view, either 500 or 400 ASA. And I think we did one shot that's in the test on the older fine-grain film, the 5245. We did that just so they wanted to have something to compare.
Cutting these things together with the tilt-down shot, intermixing all of the different cameras into these shots to get a good motion sequence, if you will. Also going in front of the rails for motion, the bicycle spokes that are high and shiny that are rotating, and of course a juggler with high contrast, high saturation on the red pins going back and forth in motion. And then of course out here to the tabletop shot in the daylight, which we have everything pretty punchy. We intended to make this pretty bright of a scene so they would test the highlight capabilities of the system as well too, and then kind of pulling into a tighter shot showing the flowers and the bride and the groom.
When we go into the magic hour situation, we are using the skylight, which is just a quite cool, quite blue overall cast to the light, and the tungsten fixtures are being turned on, but the majority of the light is still coming out of this cool skylight, and it gives it just a different emphasis to the aspects of the people who are attending the celebration, and you are challenging the contrast range of the film and also the sharpness of the different aspect ratios. And I think that it is something that every cinematographer enjoys shooting magic hour.
It's also interesting to take notice of the flowers, that the different colors they pose in the different lighting conditions. In the daylight, they're more of a little bit muted and not as saturated.
I think that one of the great things that we had agreement on was just in terms of we really wanted to put challenges to the technical process of converting film images to digital images.
This is probably one of my favorite shots, where you've got the fountain with some really good highlight details in the back in motion and the water in the fountain, as well as a two-shot with different skin tones. The one thing we wanted to have was many different skin tone textures throughout in the people to kind of simulate what you would find throughout features of many different genres.
As the wedding party arrives and people go to join the party at the restaurant, we find that it's a different mood, different textures, different look than anything we've had before. Our juggler is spinning torches now, and these stand out quite beautifully in the night lighting. And it gave us again a way of exploring the same scene, but in different textures and different ways. And so that's something that I thought was well worth our time to explore that. We have a lot of detailed shots that we leave on screen quite a while so that you can notice, gee, the candle on the right of center is holding the color of its flame very, very well. And when we tilt up with the bride and look at the other faces around this, we have a way of seeing how this night lighting is affecting the scene, and also how well, when we're dealing with the digital reproduction of the film image, we're holding that contrast range and seeing detail when we want to see it.
We put a lot of smoke and fog in here and lit it towards a very blue-green condition, knowing from previous experience that this was a very hard color to duplicate between the color spaces. And in post-production, during the color correction pass, this did turn out to be quite difficult to try to match to the answer print.
We have smoke in this scene so that we're perceiving the crowd through this smoke. And the smoke, of course, causes interesting things for those that are trying to scan and compress the images. In this particular shot, the master shot, the smoke is quite heavy at the beginning. As the people get over to the table, the smoke starts to clear. And by the end of the shot, the smoke has virtually all cleared, and the contrast of the image increases. So within this one scene, we get to see quite a dynamic change in the contrast of the picture and how the smoke brings out different aspects of the light. And when that smoke vanishes, we see the contrast get heavier, and we're understanding that the difficulty for the people creating a digital image from this piece of film is in containing all of this great contrast range.
We also included a lot of titles that do different motions because you'll find those in natural features as well. This scene was quite surprising to us. We didn't think any of it when we shot it, but as we went back and started looking at this on the systems, it was very, very challenging to take this rain on the bricks with such high contrast between black and white and put it in motion on the tilt-up of this scene. You can then see the rain coming through with the highlights of the lighting conditions and the motion in the background of the people. It's also interesting when you get the resolution up high enough on this image, you can actually see the raindrops bouncing off of the ground back up again, and also can tell with the drips that are coming off both the light, the red light, which casts a red highlight on the bricks as it goes back down, and off the flag. And then, of course, we put in a slow motion of the raindrops bouncing on the ground to finish off the mini-movie. So as we move into the titles here, they're almost as long as the main feature just because there's a lot of people that were involved in making this. The post-production was done beginning with taking the 4 cameras that we used to have, that we used to make the mini-movie, A camera, B camera, C camera, and D camera, which was 35 millimeter spherical as well as 35 millimeter anamorphic and also 65 millimeter. Those shots were all telecine pretty close from the original negative to create our offline working copies. It was telecine to HD along with foot and frames and time code, and then those HD tapes were down converted to standard definition. We did this so that we could, first of all, preview the shots in HD to get a feel for how they would look on a big digital cinema screen, as well as have them later to cut together for a preview before we went in and did the final 4K finish. Once the telecine was done, the HDs were down converted to standard definition. They were loaded into a Final Cut Pro where an offline edit was done. Once the offline was locked, we went back and scanned in 6K for the 35 millimeter material and down-res that to 4K immediately. And then we also scanned the 65 shots in 4K as well. Those were all then conformed together and then color corrected at the Pacific Theater on a discrete luster. This was done at 4K at 16 bits using TIFF file. So we tried to maintain the bit depth as deep as we could all the way throughout the process. Once the color correction was complete, the color was rendered then into the final 4K files, and then this was output as a complete conformed set of data files in 4K. We also cut together some DV material in the end in the credits here that you see so that we would have some up-converted video as a representation of what's done now and some of the features at the end showing the outtakes. Once it was all completed in 4K, then we began the down conversions to 2K data and also to HD. And on the final HD frames, we actually then did a slight trim pass to create a 709 color space version of it as well too for the HD. So in HD, we have a digital cinema color space version as well as a home video color space version of the STEM. that pretty much completed the post-production. Other than the music was scored to afterwards and added into there. We didn't have any lip sync. It was designed mostly to test images, not necessarily to test lip sync, although you do have some sync sound in the final video images towards the end of it. And as well as that, then we put in some color titles at the end from all the people that helped us. We did this because some of them, like the Pacific Title one, is fine detail, and as it does the slow crawl up the screen, it presents quite a bit of problems for different types of systems depending upon their resolution, their projection technology and compression and the like. So this is the reason why we did all these things on the STEM mini movie.